The United States was founded on a principle that every person, not just a citizen, possesses certain inalienable rights that no government may violate, including our own. Among these rights is unquestionably the right to be free from cruel punishment or treatment, as is evidenced by the clear language of the Eighth Amendment and the constitutional jurisprudence of the Fifth and 14th Amendments. If we can apply the policy of cruelty to detainees, it is only because our founders were wrong about the scope of our inalienable rights. For this reason, cruel interrogations necessarily corrupt our founding values and corrode our constitutional structure and the fabric of our legal system. Because the international legal system, the legal system of many countries, and the international human rights system are all largely designed to protect human dignity, the decision of the United States to adopt cruelty has had a devastating foreign policy consequence. The cruel treatment of detainees is a criminal act for most and perhaps all of our traditional allies. As these nations came to recognize the true dimensions of our policy, political fissures between us and them began to emerge because none of them would follow our lead into the swamp of legalized abuse. These fissures deepened into chasms as awareness grew about the effect of our policies on fundamental human rights, on the Geneva Conventions, on the Nuremberg precedents, and on the incidence of prisoner abuse worldwide. Respect and political support abroad for the United States decreased sharply and rapidly. These adverse foreign policy consequences inevitably came to damage our national security strategy and our operational effectiveness in the war on terror. Our ability to build and sustain the broad alliance required to fight the war was compromised. International cooperation, including the military, intelligence, and law enforcement arenas, diminished as foreign officials became concerned that assisting the U.S. in detainee matters could constitute aiding and abetting criminal conduct in their own countries. As the difficulties of Prime Ministers Blair, Howard, and Aznar demonstrated, seemingly every foreign politician who sought to ally his country with the U.S. effort on the war incurred a political penalty. All of these factors contributed to the difficulties our nation has experienced in forging the strongest possible coalition to fight the war. But the damage to our national security also occurred down at the tactical or operational level. I'll cite 4 examples I heard about during my tenure. First, some U.S. flag rank officers maintained that the first and second identifiable causes of U.S. combat deaths in Iraq, as judged by their effectiveness in recruiting insurgent fighters into combat, are, respectively, the symbols of Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo. And there are others who are convinced that the proximate cause of Abu Ghraib was the legal advice authorizing abusive treatment of detainees that issued from the Department of Justice's Office of Legal Counsel in 2002. Second, some allied nations reportedly hesitated to participate in combat operations if there was the possibility that captured individuals could be abused by U.S. forces. Third, some allied nations have refused to train with us in joint detainee capture and handling operations because of concerns about U.S. detainee policies. And fourth, senior NATO officers in Afghanistan are reported to have left the room when issues of detainee treatment were raised by U.S. officials out of fear that they could become complicit in any abuse. Mr. Chairman, Albert Camus cautioned nations fighting for their values against selecting those weapons whose very use would destroy those values. In this war on terror, the United States is fighting for our values, and cruelty is such a weapon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mora.